Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check this headline out. Every bank will use Ripple. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, it's $1.1 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 0.5%. Good morning, everyone. Bitcoin, 26,000, slightly over, 1,600 plus for Ethereum. Tether market cap is 82.7 billion plus, and XRP at the number 5 spot, 52 cents now. Off by 3.5% in the 24-hour and off by a staggering 16.4% on the 7-day, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you have not taken advantage of it, it's iTrust Capital, the best crypto IRAs in the planet. This is not a joke. This is real. You can roll over your 401k, TSP, 403b, and more. But I tell you right now, the only thing that makes me happier than buying crypto is buying tax-free crypto. And that's exactly what you could do at iTrust. Click the link underneath and check out my sponsor. Take a look at this. This is more connections from the Ripple partner teams here. In March, says Ratha Kahneman here, Ripple partner Lions Express connected their services with Brazil's Pix to offer global transfers. They were announced as an ODL partner last November. So this is where we're at here, but we're going to see a slew of information today. This is a reminder about MasterCard CEO Michael Mybeck mentioned Ripple as a key partner for CBDC projects. Then we saw this come out over the weekend as a reminder as well, and it's the connections here for the BIS, wholesale digital currencies. I have to mute this because of the copyright issue, but central bank digital currencies, together with concepts borrowed from emerging decentralized finance, may improve effectiveness and safety. Listen to this. The ethics in trading and settlement. And then it goes on to say Mariana is a joint project between the BIS, the Bank of France, and the Monetary Authority of Singapore. All have ties to Ripple at some degree. And then the Swiss National Bank, how does it work? It works through an international blockchain. And then it goes on to talk about automated market makers, as you can see right here, through foreign exchange market, and then using this international platform tied into the domestic platforms and using automated market makers, as you just saw right there. This is where the world is going. And I tell you as a reminder, Project Mariana, like the Mariana Trench, another ocean reference, Ripple, Drops. Then we had Drop, the platform from Hedera Hashgraph being picked up by FedNow. What's all the water references? I find it fascinating. I really, really do. Then there was this. I played this over the weekend, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to play a segment of it I want you to hear now. And this is a low clip, so prepare for this to be low, where Karen Gifford, back in 2015, in the early days, around that time frame, the chief legal compliance officer. This is, if you know anything about compliance team people, they are very rigid in what they say. And what she says here is, I honestly don't know how any banks can comply with those Dodd-Frank rules, as she's mentioning, if they're not using Ripple. I remind everybody who's an architect of Dodd-Frank. It's the former U.S. Treasury official, Ripple advisor for a time period in that same window, Michael S. Barr, who just so happens to be the current vice president of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, now drafting and architecting regulatory framework for stable coins and crypto in general. Take a listen to this clip. Again, it's a low clip, but I've got it turned up as high as I can get it. Listen to this low clip.
These open protocols actually make compliance more straightforward and easier. So, like with the Ripple protocol, there's point-to-point settlement with implications, very positive implications for things like the new fee pre-disclosure rules under Dodd-Frank. I honestly don't know how any bank can comply with those rules if they're not using Ripple. I mean, I'm not saying that to... to
Nothing sells like fear. Just
right.
Well, it's not even fear, right? It's just what she's saying is point to point, end to end. No one else has done inside connecting to the finance and banking system what Ripple has done. And from where she sits, she doesn't honestly know how any banks can comply without using Ripple because of the Dodd-Frank rules. It's quite remarkable, to be perfectly honest. And there was a question under here that I wanted to get. Shout out to Anders, who says, fee disclosure rules, yes. If I remember correctly, I think Bob Way mentioned this, and how with SWIFT and correspondent banking, you didn't know beforehand the fees you would pay. This was probably around 2019, and Anders is absolutely spot on. This is how I found Ripple and XRP in the early days. I became a global importer because of a company I started and a product that I had invented, and I knew the pain and friction of wiring money around the world through banks and SWIFT. And when I saw the Fed and the Faster Payments Council and all that back in 2017, I knew immediately, I was like, this is a company solving a real problem, because I was dealing with it all the time. So down here we see Dodd-Frank was established in 2009, and Ripple was 2015. What's the connection? I don't see any gateway to the vocal rule is there. I think mixing a little bit for Mullah H, but I just want to touch on this. As I said, Michael S. Barr was former U.S. Treasury official, as many people that have been tied to Ripple, and we know that he was an advisor to Ripple, and the connection is that he was the architect of the Dodd-Frank rule to begin with, which, by the way, the Dodd-Frank rule not only put the rules in place that Karen Gifford, the compliance officer from Ripple at the time, is talking about, but he also, Dodd-Frank and Michael S. Barr put together Dodd-Frank, and that allowed for the birth of the agency FSOC, Financial Stability Oversight Council, which has the power to write regulation for these types of events without Congress's approval. Don't believe that. It's still true. You'll remember quickly last summer, Elizabeth Warren pushing for the Undersecretary of the Treasury to use FSOC's power to do just that. Here's a reminder, too, from Czech National Bank here. Shout out to ISO 20022. Let's do it. And it shows you the power of conversations that have been happening over the years. That's where we're at here. And now that we have legal ruling that XRP in and of itself is not a security, watch out is what I say. I think it's going to continue to dawn and the realization come to light that the financial system has a path forward, and I think you're going to see that path explored heavily in the future. RippleNet shown here, DLT, possibly with a special unit of account and a native asset representing it. Now, that could be a CBDC, as they're talking about here, or some other digital asset as well. But let's keep going. Again, as I said, that's from the Czech National Bank. That information there, you could see that whole thing. You can find it on my Twitter as well. This is a reminder here, Citi and Ripple. Now, think about the cumulative information that we're looking at here. Citi, right here, works with Ripple. You know that. Interledger protocol. Escrow only works with XRP, not tokens. Look at this. It shows XRP pools sitting right in the middle of banks, just as we have discussed for years. This is March 2018, but it's all coming to light. This looks exactly to me like the clip that I just played from Mariana project from BIS, does it not? Absolutely it does. Then this is a reminder as well. Ripple reveals 8 countries building CBDCs on the XRP ledger. And we've all been through this. But what I wanted to remind people of before we see the next piece of news is, remember when James Wallace had said that Ripple itself, and he's the head of central bank engagements and CBDCs at Ripple, he said blockchain company is in talks with more than 30 countries to adopt XRP ledger-powered CBDC platform. Well, this is interesting because take a look at this. Remember, Ripple talks and works with over 30 to 50 central banks. We've heard Monica Long and Michelle Bond years ago say it was 50 governments around the world, right? Well, if you go to the AtlanticCouncil.org CBDC tracker, one thing I find interesting is when you click on the ones that are in the green, it's 32 developments. Well, isn't that interesting? Because that lines up exactly with more than 30 countries as James Wallace said, and you bet I'm speculating my ass off, but I'll tell you something. You want me to throw some weight behind the speculation? Let me do that for you right now. This green is Ripple. Isn't that interesting? So now you have to wonder, because we know Bhutan is also Ripple, right? So then you have to wonder, is Bahrain possibly tied in, even though there's JP Morgan using Onyx? Will Ripple play a role tying into the Onyx platform, right? And then Montenegro, which we know is Ripple. Again, even though some of these others are not expressing who's involved, or even if it's JP Morgan or Project Icebreaker here, Technologies Ethereum, ultimately, will they be tying into a larger international network like the XRP ledger? That is what we have to wait to see. I can't wait to find out how much of it is or isn't tied in. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at price real quick and what's going on. Like I said, we are off by a lot on the 7-day when we open this video, but you don't need to be a technical analysis guru, which I am not. Thank goodness for Egg Rag Crypto that he is, because I tell you, we appreciate him and that he's back. I love his charts. They're so clean and they show you both sides. That's what I always love here. But he says here, if you take a look, whenever the 21 weekly EMA and the 100 weekly MA creates a bullish cross, XRP ignites like fire. If you look here, when the yellow and blue crossed, it went up, right? And then when it crossed back under the blue, obviously the price went down. It crossed, goes back over, and we saw the pop again. And now we're here and possibly looking at another cross. Will we go sideways? Will it fall below? What will happen? We don't know, but we do know that history tells us when it crosses, things get extremely interesting and bullish for XRP price. And with that being said, we see that the forecast here for an XRP breakout of 28,250% pump would take us to $149 based on the ASO technical indicator. Now, with that being said, I look at this like this. I am absolutely here for 4 and 5 digits, wherever they may lay and whenever it may come. I know we got to get $1, $5, $10, $27, $149, but I'm here for it all, so I say bring it. This is one of the most fascinating things I've ever followed in my life, and you couldn't get me to change directions now for nothing. And that's not financial advice. That's just me sharing my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.